Everybody. Welcome to ACABOR meeting of September 3rd. Few ground rules as we go here. Well, let's do the pledge first. Shirley got the flag there for us. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Much harder to do that when it's out of sync with different audio. All right, a few ground rules before we start. We will be pretty, I don't want to say strict, but we will mute people as we need to. Only the people that are talking, whether it be the applicant or the board member, will be unmuted at that particular time. Once we get to public comment on a particular application, I would request, if you do have, if you know you're going to have a question, you know you're going to ask something, put it in the chat. Otherwise, we will open up the lines and take, people asking questions, whether it's through video or through the phone. If this, and I don't expect, based on the number of applications tonight, if this goes too late, we will stop it at a certain time. But I don't expect that to be a problem tonight. And those are essentially the ground rules. We're going to try and keep it as calm as possible with this many folks and talking over each other. So try and be as courteous as you can. Also do a quick roll call of the board. Chris Dunnigan is here. Shirley, are you here?
Here.
Sharon Burke.
Here.
Brian Atchison. You're on mute, Brian.
Here.
And Joe Malillo. And absent tonight are Debbie, whose name I won't try to pronounce because I'll get it wrong, and Kenyatta Jones. All right. Our first application tonight is for the Protein Sciences Corporation. Rob, Dr. Elena, who's here? If you would like to take yourself off mute.
So Bill Etzel and Francis McDermott are here from Protein Sciences. We're the leads of the application. We're not the engineers representing. I see there are 4 callers unidentified on there. I'm not sure if Eliana or Robert have joined us or not.
If they haven't, Bill, and you're ready to go ahead, you can start giving a description of the application project, and we can go from there.
Okay. All right. So the application is forgive me for this. It's a legacy sign that we thought would be conforming. It's an unlit sign on the, I'll call it the Letterly campus. It's on a leased building. The lease is currently given to IRG. I work for Protein Sciences, a Sanofi company. We make the flu vaccine, and then just finished our first batch of COVID vaccine in the building today. We were informed. We're trying to get all our permits straightened out. We've been in the building since December of 2012. The sign, I think, is about 2 to 3 years old upon Sanofi's acquisition of us. It does not really front a public road, but I would say it's seasonally visible from Middletown Road and is an unlit sign within the campus.
Okay. So you mentioned the sign went up about 2 years ago, but the company's been there for a bit longer. Was there a sign there previously that came down, or?
There was a sign, similar sign in size and position. I would say not as, from an architectural point, not as good looking as the sign we have up now. Is very more like those who saw it compared its likeness to a postage stamp on a on a letter. But yes, this there was a sign there prior.
And a little bit
And-
about. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, and that sign did not have a permit associated with it either.
Okay. And the sign is blue lettering on, what is it? Is it a white background?
That's correct. And the building is, I would call it beige.
Okay. Yep. Looks white in some of the pictures and looks beige in others. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add before I open up some questions from the board?
I think that's pretty much it. Again, we have other, the building is complicated. Just to add to the difficulties we've had in the permitting process, the town line, Clarkstown and Orangetown, runs right through the building. The sign is in Orangetown, but it has been a struggle for us. We have legacy COs from both townships. The campus is predominantly in Orangetown, and we've leaned toward Orangetown in our any type of permitting or assistance as of late.
Thank you. Shirley, any questions?
No.
Sharon, any questions?
So I will just say, from a sign perspective, it seems like the sign's going to be a little bit higher on the building, but the sign does, like you said, it totally just faces towards the parking lot for Letterly. And this is probably something that you have nothing to do with, maybe, but I know that I've spoken to some people who do live in Clarkstown that live on the back side of the building, and they just feel like some of the trees have come down maybe in the past 10 years, and there really hasn't been an effort to, or at least from their perspective, they're not seeing an effort to replace those trees, and they feel like the building is more seeable in the winter than it used to be. So I was just trying to pass along that thought process. I mean, but in terms of the sign, I'm fine with the sign.
Okay. It's a point well taken. I know most of the neighbor complaints are, I've been on the campus for 41 years, and I grew up on Nanuet Avenue, 2 blocks away from there. So I'm very familiar with the issues of being adjacent to a manufacturing facility. And we have fielded complaints about when we're in a kind of a tough predicament there. You know, we just went through a security audit, and by the national government, we are making the COVID vaccine. As I mentioned, we literally just had an audit with them yesterday, and they would like us to take down the trees. And I voiced the concerns of the neighbors, and we have turned off some of the lights on the back of the building. So there's we are faced with a balance there, trying to address the concern. I would take issue with, I haven't seen a decline. There's a mixture of deciduous trees and pine trees in the back, and there has not been any a kind of intentional clearing of any of that, despite the federal government liking us to do that, and we probably will not do that. But to your point, the sign does not face that way either.
Right. I understand.
Brian, any questions?
No, the sign looks a little awkward on the building, but, you know, I'm looking at it here and thinking, you know, I don't know how else you would do the sign. It's just not really a face of the building that would easily take a sign. So I guess the way it's done is the best that you're going to get. So other than that, I don't have any.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Joe, any questions? It sounds like you're still muted, Joe. I still can't hear you. It looks you're unmuted in the app, but I can't hear you.
You have a volume button on your computer?
Computer.
Mic? There's a mic button. See up on the tab, F4 is a mic button. Control FN F4.
Still nothing. All right. Not shake your head yes or no if you got questions, Joe. No. Okay. Thank you. All right. All right. I don't see any comments or requests in the chat for questions. But I'm going to unmute everybody. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? Hearing none. Hearing none, public portion is closed. All right. So I think we addressed all the questions. Do we have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I heard Sharon first, so she's going to get the second. We'll do a quick roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Joe.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right. Thank you. All right. You guys are all set. Appreciate it. Good luck with the sign, guys.
Thank you all very much. And now that the vote's over, I want to thank you all for your service. I've been on the planning board and the town board for many years, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. Take care.
Thank you.
Get that vaccine going.
We're on it. Just finished the first batch today, so we're fingers crossed.
All right. Up next, we have, I'll probably say this wrong, Diane's Way. I don't know if that's going to be Barry or Brian leading that one.
I could start. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the ACABOR committee. Brian Quinn, I'm the attorney for the applicant. Montalbano, Condon and Frank, 67 North Main Street, New City, New York. Also have with us tonight Barry Turek, our architect. Also Tommy Atkin, one of the principals of Dion's Way. And we also have Jay Greenwell, our surveyor, who prepared the site plan. And we did submit a narrative summary for you. It's been kind of a long process that we've been through. This property has been rezoned and placed into the PAC zoning, planned adult community. So it'll be for ages 55 and older. As indicated in the narrative summary, the address is 14-16 Main Street in Pearl River. That goes right through the block and it has an address on William Street, 21 North William Street in Pearl River. The building is currently occupied by the Joyce Realty Company. It's a one-story building, approximately 8,800 square feet in size. The proposal is to add 2 stories to that building, and that they will consist of 16 market rate apartments, again under the PAC zone. The apartments will be all 1 and 2 bedrooms only, approximately 750 square feet to 1,000 square feet. We've been through the process with the town board, and we actually got preliminary approval from the planning board back in October 24 of 18. And we then proceeded to the ZBA, got referred back to the town board. The town board amended the PAC zone so that they could grant all of the various bulk provisions. That was approved in November of 2019 by the town board. And we are now before you for review of the architectural renderings, landscape plan, etc. The town board, as part of their findings of the PAC zone, has adopted the site plan as submitted. So it's a bit of a strange process, but we hope we're on the right track now, and we're interested in hearing your review and comments of the plans that have been submitted. Having said that, I'll turn this over to Barry, who's our architect, who could review the plans with you.
Good evening, board. That's a hard act to follow, but as Brian stated, the building currently is a one-story flat roof building that has currently has 6 tenants, Joyce Realty being one of them. But as you go around the building, there are 5 other tenants, commercial tenants, occupying the space right now. Part of the hope with this entire project was to maintain that occupancy throughout the majority of the construction. Obviously, there'll be some phases that will be more difficult than others to accomplish that, but that was part of the impetus of design in the addition. What will happen essentially is one of those tenants will in fact leave the building, and that location becomes the entry lobby for all the residential units. And that entry actually occurs on the south elevation. Basically, what that 4-panel glass that you're looking at on the elevations with the awning over it, that's the main entry into the building. It'll be secured. You'd enter a secure lobby. The building is serviced by an elevator to the 2nd and the 3rd floors, and each floor has 8 apartment units. There's a, beyond the elevator, obviously there's egress stairs. All the ADA and New York State code requirements have been addressed in the design. The apartments are essentially large open spaces, living rooms and kitchens, 1 or 2 bathrooms, depending upon the units. Actually, they may all have 2 bathrooms as I'm thinking about that. We designed the apartments to deal with the existing, obviously the existing perimeter of the building. We're not making any revisions to the 1st floor, except save for the re-siding of the exterior. Existing windows and doors are essentially staying in the same place, with the exception of the west elevation, the one that faces Main Street. There is an additional door that will be on that side now. That's part of an egress stair exit. So we did create some interest in the building, however, in the facade, which, the south elevation was being that we had property available there, we actually introduced a couple of 2-foot, I don't know if we want to call them bumps or cantilevers, where the apartments come out over the sidewalk that's on that side and help give some relief to that facade. It's not just a flat facade. The exterior siding will consist mostly of brick and vinyl clapboard. There's currently the building has a little bit of brick on it, and the north side is a stucco finish on that 1st floor, and then Joyce Realty side is brown cement siding, clapboard siding, kind of a hodgepodge of finishes. We're going to strip them all off and give the images that you're seeing on these elevations, where a lot of the 1st floor will be brick, and then up above will be vinyl siding. The windows and doors will be black frames. Some of the frames, or majority of frames downstairs on the 1st floor now are black. Joy's Realties are white, and we will paint those to make them black. So the theory of the building will be those 3 colors: the brick, the green vinyl, and the black fenestration. The top of the building has, we tried to inject some detailing into all this. We have a nice heavy cornice at the top with brackets. We have similar brackets introduced to the overhangs. Some paneling details that you'll see on those overhangs and around the north side. I mean, basically circles the whole building. and kind of separates the commercial section that's brick with the retail, with the residential feel that's up above. So I have samples here. I don't know how well they translate. You know, they don't. So I'm gonna have you siding and trim, but those colors just aren't going to come up on the screen. But it's a fairly classic red brick color. And again, green and what's called sandstone beige, which is what it sounds like, a very light beige trim that we'll be using. I don't know if this reads, yeah, pretty crummy on my screen, but that's actually red. So I guess in summary, that, you know, this is the building that we're proposing.
And the awnings will be replaced from I think they're the green ones that are there now with this red and green striped awning.
Yeah, we'll have a slightly different rhythm, and I don't have that sample. We could, you know, it was my intention to submit for awnings and signage at the appropriate time.
So you're going to submit a separate application for the signage and the awnings.
I would expect that would be your preference. Yeah.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, it makes it a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we can get better samples and get a better view of that. That would be great.
Yeah. Hopefully we can see it in person at that time.
And the other question I had before I open up to the board for questions is, at least in this elevation I have, it looks like there is some mechanics on the roof.
Yeah, what you're actually seeing there, it's the penthouse. The mechanicals you won't see. We have them. There's in the packet that was submitted. I don't know if you have it available, but on the architectural drawings on sheet A5, which is a roof plan. You'll see that there's a perimeter of the building, and then inboard of that, significantly 12 to 14 feet, there's another ring that you'd see there. All of the mechanical equipment will be inside that ring. And given your lines of sight, you'd have to be half a mile away from the building or in a helicopter to think about seeing that mechanical equipment. So what you're seeing on that elevation, while we're looking at this roof plan, is just that stair access in the roof for all the equipment maintenance. There'll be quite a few units up there, but they're all centralized. None of them within 12 or 14 feet. I can give you the exact number of the edge of the building.
Okay.
What is that? What does that ring represent? The lines on, is that a fence?
That ring represents a safety wall. It's basically the equivalent of a parapet. So that we're required to protect anybody who goes up there to maintain that equipment from falling off the building. So that's what that is. Oftentimes you'd see in a building like this, you'd actually see a parapet on the outside edge. But due to height restrictions, we couldn't do that.
Well, I mean, you don't need a secondary parapet in the roof. If you only need protection if you're within 10 feet of the edge of the roof. So you could really just have a flat roof and make sure all your equipment is more than 10 feet from the edge of the roof.
Right.
That's a thought.
So
that will stick up above the crown, but it'll stick up above the crown about 2 feet, right?
In horizontal projection, correct. In view from the street, you will not see it.
Right. Yes, yeah, you see it on these elevations if you drew them to actually show it. And is the crown flush with the roof? Basically, it's a flat roof to the
essentially. Yeah, I have a few inches to get it. Yes, there's no gutters. Obviously, all the water will go to internal drains. So we're talking, it's maybe a 3 or 4 inch drop from the crown to the roof, and then the roof pitches downward into the building.
And what's the finish on that parapet?
That parapet is actually that's a FIPON piece. We all know what FIPON is.
Sorry. What's the mechanical? The wall around the mechanical, the parapet around the mechanical. What's the finish going to be on that? Is that a metal parapet?
Yeah. What I'd actually done was I brought up a small solid wall. Let's say it's about a foot. that comes from the roof that will allow my roofing to go up and over that so that I can seal that all up. And then there would just be a metal rail on top of that,
Mhm.
rather than have individual penetrations for the metal railing.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna open it up. Shirley, any questions that you might have?
Could you explain a little further about the penthouse?
Yeah, the penthouse is, there's one of the stairways in the building goes up to the roof. That's part of the penthouse. The other part of the penthouse is basically for the elevator clearance. The elevator shaft needs to go up higher than the roof. That top floor, I don't mean to get too technical, but this is what creates it. The upper floor of this building, let's call it the third floor, I need almost 14 feet of clearance to the underside of the roof. And that's a safety thing in case there's somebody working on top of the elevator and it decides to start rising. So, so those are the things that comprise that penthouse. We're calling it a penthouse because I don't really know what else to call it. So
It's not a unit though, Barry, right? It's just mechanical.
no, it's not. It has nothing to do with. It's not occupied anything.
What goes on in the room?
I'm sorry.
What goes on in the penthouse room itself?
That's I think just it's a sealed room, no windows, no glass, no insulation, no nothing. Both colors come from Certainteed, and the line of product is called Main Street Siding. The color, it's called Spruce. It's a deluxe color, and it's on the it's on the colored rendering also that you have. And the trim is called Sandstone Beige. Again, same company and product line. Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Shirley. Sharon, any questions?
Yes. What kind of lighting do you have planned for the building?
I realized I didn't show. The only thing on the building that we'll have is on the, I'm going to call it the three elevations with the brick, let's call them, the south, the west, and the east. And I'll show you, I should have included this in the package, and I'm hoping, I don't know if you'll be able to see that.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of gooseneck, but it'll be black, it won't be white. There's a whole array of colors there. And it'll be this fixed, I'm backwards on the camera. This fixture is about 9 inches. And it'll just point towards signage towards entrances. But it doesn't, there's not even a photometric. By the time it hits the ground, it's pretty dispersed. And we'll have a few recessed cams, let's call them, in those little overhangs. Just to light up the pathway. There's a sidewalk there actually that passes on the south elevation of the building. But no spotlights, no packs, nothing like that.
And you said that the residents will be using the entrance from the south elevation.
Correct. That's the main lobby entrance.
Will they be able to enter from the north, or they'll have to walk around the building to that entrance?
No, there's no entry from the north. The only other potential entry is the west. There's 3 doors there, and the one in the middle comes from an egress stair. It's hard to imagine that anybody would choose to go there. There's no parking. It doesn't lead anywhere, let's say, for this building. So I would say 99% it's coming from that south entrance, because that's where the mailboxes will be. The elevator, it's hard to imagine that's not where everybody's going.
Okay.
You got a question, Sharon?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Brian?
No, I don't think I have anything else. It looks good. I like it.
Thank you.
Nice, quirky, and nice proportions.
Thank you very much.
Joe, any questions? We cannot hear you now. No. Okay. All right. Just I had one question as I was looking at this closer. So you've got what is the siding in between the boxes on the bottom band there? It's the same color, but is it the same texture or?
No, that's actually a flat. We'll probably introduce in those bands that'll probably be like solid vinyl. And I don't know if you know the product. One of the leaders is called AZEK. I don't know if you've seen this stuff, but yeah. So we'll probably make it out of that because AZEK comes in flat sheets, much like plywood, and it's a perfectly smooth finish. And we'll paint it all to match, the siding and the colors. I think that'll give us the best finish.
How well does AZEK take paint? I'm not sure it takes paint very well.
Sherwin-Williams actually has the paint spec for the primer. That's really the trick.
For AZEK?
For AZEK, yeah, we did. I did a lot of work at Woodbury Commons, and there's a lot of AZEK there, and we used their paint spec, and it worked out really well.
Okay.
All right. I am going to open public comment. Nobody put anything in the chat. So I'm gonna unmute, ask, is there anybody wishing to speak on this matter?
Yes, I would. My name is John Murphy.
Okay, John, your address as well?
My address is 2106 Schindler Drive, Pearl River.
Thank you, John. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to express my feelings. I have been in public service for half a century involving Pearl River. And my interest in downtown Pearl River began many years ago when the big box stores in Nanuet triggered the failure of many of the retail stores that existed in downtown Pearl River. And over the years, because I'm in housing as well as government and charity, I was always very protective that the Pearl River downtown Pearl River, as we called it in those days, was preserved to some extent. There were many efforts involved, like when the Pearl River High School was knocked down, and we were successful in convincing the town to leave that as open space for civic purposes. And I actually, when I was representing the hamlet and the county legislature, I had two studies made to see what steps that could be taken to see to it that downtown Pearl River didn't become an eyesore. And I've shared some of these thoughts in an email I sent to you, which I hope you all read. I won't be redundant, except to say, I've been protecting Pearl River for decades because I love it. I don't think there's another community like it. And I think what Tommy has suggested fits in very well with many of the recommendations that were made by these studies over those 4 decades. And I don't know how I can convince you that this is going to be an asset to downtown Pearl River, in addition to serving a very unmet civic need, which is senior housing for people who don't drive. I hope you got a sense of my feeling about this, so I won't bore you. But I sincerely hope that you'll support this, because it's a perfect partial solution to keeping downtown Pearl River from getting shoddy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Is there anybody else from the public wishing to speak on this?
My name is Kathy. I've lived in Pearl River for about 37, 38 years.
Kathy,
Excuse me,
Um,
Kathy, what's your last
yeah.
name and your address, please?
Calvi, C-A-L, V as in Victor, E-Y. And I'm at 131 Bogart Avenue.
thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say that there's very few places in Rockland County that have actual towns. We are really, really lucky to have a town with a whole lot of shopping and, you know, restaurants and banking and everything. And it's just very, very convenient. And a lot of people right now, the older people, are basically, you know, they're selling their houses because the houses are too big for them now that the kids are out and married. And what they're doing is they're babysitting. So, you know, if they can get something in town that's really nice, they can literally walk to town, they could shop, go to the banks. There's all sorts of transportation to go into the city. So having this, you know, these new apartments is something that I think we really, really need. So it's, you know, it's up to you guys, you know, to get this thing going. And even I myself may decide to rent one. You never know. But I just wanted to give my thoughts, and I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Is there anybody else from the public wishing to speak?
Chris, I received 2 emails after work. One from Timothy Wolf and another one from Stephen Doherty, both in support of the project.
Perfect. Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing that. One last call for public comment. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. And thanks everybody from the public that came out and spoke tonight. Always appreciate it. Before I ask for a motion, any other questions from the board after hearing from the public? I will make a motion to approve the project with the condition that we come back and see the signs and the awnings in the future when they're ready for that. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
A second from Shirley, and a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Joe. Thank you, Joe. All right. Thanks everybody for coming out. I appreciate it. Good luck.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. You too.
All right. Up next is the Route 9 site plan. And I believe we've got Jorel and Aladar.
Yes. Hi there. Can everyone hear me all right?
We can.
Good deal. Good evening. My name is Joel Vaccaro. I am the engineer and applicant for the owner, Aladar Gamisi. Our project is 814 Route 9W. We are proposing a replacement septic system, a regraded, reconfigured driveway to reduce the slope. It's currently pre-existing non-conforming, and an associated retaining wall to allow us to reduce the slope on our driveway a little bit. The subject here is the retaining wall. We are proposing a Ready Rock block retaining wall. It's approximately 25 feet long, with a maximum height of about 9 feet. The Ready Rock wall will be a limestone base style. The Ready Rock wall is it's a precast concrete block construction. It'll be produced by Mid-Hudson Concrete Products, and we're having exact match masonry staining. Stain the wall once it's constructed. We've included example photographs here on C500 of similar face styles. We're intending to match an existing retaining wall further up the driveway as closely as possible. So the staining company is aware of that. They've proposed a custom set of staining colors with a base color of tan, an accent color of gray, and a second accent color of charcoal. Those would be the second group of photos on the C500 is the proposed Ready Rock and examples in other cases. That's all we've got.
Got it. Okay. So I have, so any retaining wall that's currently there, the one that's shown in the bottom of the driveway on the passenger side if you're going up, and the one on the top of the driveway on the driver's side if you're going up, all of that's coming out and being replaced. No?
No. I'm sorry. The existing walls further up are remaining. The portion of driveway, if you take a look at the site plan there on the first page, we're reducing the slope of the lower portion of the driveway. That's the steepest portion, essentially. And what we're doing is we're extending it slightly in order to lengthen it and then reduce that slope. So the portions of retaining wall that are going in are basically the first 24 feet of the beginning of the incline of the driveway. The existing retaining walls you're seeing on the in the photos, the first 6 photos are all further up toward the top of the driveway. It's called out there. If you basically the top of the plan, existing block wall, right there along the top of the driveway. Those are to remain, and that's what we're trying to match.
I'll open up. I'm going to look at this, but Shirley, any questions?
No.
Sharon, any questions?
Sorry, no.
Brian, any questions?
No.
Okay. Joe, any questions? All right. Okay. The just one quick suggestion. When you guys do this and you get a beautiful new wall in there, give the existing one a bit of a power wash.
No problem. I think that's part of the plan here. So the other part of this work is the septic above, which is why we're actually taking the opportunity to deal with the driveway, because we're probably going to partially destroy the driveway and doing the septic work anyway. So there's quite a bit of site work going on. During that, we're really going to rejuvenate anything as well. So yes, exactly. Pressure wash. There's a couple tiny little parts to repair, so we'll be repairing it as well.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this matter? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. I have a motion to accept as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so we got Brian motioned and Sharon seconded. Do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Joe. Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you. You're all set. Appreciate it. Good luck with the wall and the septic tank.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good night. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. And last but not least, Ms. Foley is back with another sign for us.
Ready?
Go for it.
So I'm Robin Foley representing Kenyatta Jones from R2M Realty. She would like to reface her existing illuminated sign cabinet that's 24 by 96, and with her logo configured to fit the format of the existing light box. That's about it. Simple.
So really all we're doing is changing out the acrylic.
One piece acrylic.
And this is a lighted sign, and I think they all are, right?
It's internally illuminated, yes.
Shirley, any questions?
No,
Sharon, any questions?
Nope.
Brian, any questions?
No.
Joe? I'm gonna unmute everybody. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this? Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Do I have a motion from the board to accept as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
All right, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. So Shirley made the motion, Sharon seconded. Roll call vote, myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Joe. All right, thank you, Robin, you're all set. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that was our last applicant for the night. So we are done. One thing that before we go, actually, Cheryl, can we close before we have the discussion around where we're putting the meetings and how we're going to do them in the future, or do we have to do that before we close?
I think that you should have a discussion as other business before you close.
Okay. So just a quick discussion around meeting locations going forward. So I guess the first question I would ask is, as the board that we've got here, if we had the opportunity to go back and do in-person meetings, would we be comfortable doing so?
It depends on where we do it, because where we were working is not socially distanced.
That is true. And I think that would be part of kind of how we'd have to understand what the limitations we'd have around that with the location. Cheryl, keep me honest, but I think some boards are looking at possibly the courtroom.
Courtroom 1, they're looking at the zoning board on September 16th. I believe there's a limit of how many people you can have in the room. Maybe Elizabeth knows a little bit more about this than I do as far as the safety protocols, because I believe the town board's been meeting there.
Okay, hi. I don't know a ton, other than the town board has been meeting. I don't know if they have somebody checking temperatures or anything at the door. During the daytime for court, they do, but it's a court officer. I don't know what they have for meetings. Oh wait, I've had a traffic advisory board meeting, and I think someone wipes on the tables first, and then members of the public sit in a chair. This we did in courtroom 2, the old courtroom, and everyone has to wear a mask and everyone has to sign in for contact tracing. But as for a meeting like this, I imagine it would be something like that, where you'd have to sign in and leave your contact information, wear a mask, and have designated seats. And we have a capacity that once you get there, you have to take turns, or people have to wait outside until there's space.
And does the courtroom one is the newer courtroom when you walk in the front door? Okay. And does that give us enough space to be the 6 feet? I assume it does for the town board, but that's a smaller group. So, or would we just have to spread out even to the jury box on the sides if we had to?
Yeah, they have the jury box, and there was someone in the witness box, and then 3 people up at the podium where the judge and the clerk sits, and then the other people who were in the well of the courtroom were sitting at the council tables and spread out.
Okay. I mean, I'll ask this question: is anybody, struggling with this format in such a way that we would want to move to in-person meetings sooner rather than later? I mean, because that's the other half of it too. Is if we're, able to do it this way and don't have to go through the piece of getting the public doing temperatures, washing things down, us being distanced, maybe we stay this way for the foreseeable future until we have something else. I don't know what. Does anybody have an issue with how this has been going? I mean, it feels like it's gone reasonably well. Go ahead, Shirley.
I think it's been going great. I have an issue going back to in-person meetings because I have a vulnerable person living in my house. And honestly, I've been in a bubble since March 6th because of that. So I'm not sure how comfortable I feel going back unless there's a lot of protocols in place.
Fair. Okay. It's a reasonable feeling, I think. And I assume even the other half of this is you can't go 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where if we did, and I'm just talking here, so don't think, I'm not saying this is something we should do, but one person remote or multiple people remote and then some people there, that probably doesn't work either. So, anybody else have any thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think this has worked very well. Obviously, looking at the samples doesn't work very well this way. The Pearl River housing, that was a good rendering, and I think it's pretty accurate, and so that's a downside. I mean, I don't, I myself don't have a problem going back in person, but I think this works well, maybe better in terms of access for some people, possibly, the public including.
Mm-hmm.
No. But wait just a second. Let me look at an email that I got. Let me just.
Sorry, my computer froze, so I had to call in.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, while Cheryl's looking at the courtroom piece, I mean, I tend to agree, kind of fall into the same spot as Brian, where I'm not terribly concerned if we were to go back, but I don't think that this format is detrimental to our ability to do what we need to do. And I'm not also rushing to go back just to go back, right? So my opinion is if this is working, we stay this way until if the other boards want to go back, let them go through and see how it works for them and how long they can do it. And, we revisit this at some other point. But I don't know when that point's going to be at this point, but.
Yeah, I can't find the email real quick, but I believe it was courtroom 1 that they were offering. It's usually youth court was giving up the room for the evening. Courtroom 1 is the old courtroom next to the supervisor's office.
The one where yeah, got it. Okay. So, So, I mean, I guess it sounds like let's stay with this for now. Wait until we get a little bit further and revisit maybe, you know, Halloweenish or something like that. Does that sound reasonable?
The current executive order allows virtual meetings until the 27th of September. It probably will be extended again, but that's our current date.
Okay, so if it gets past that and they don't extend it, we won't have a choice, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, if we get there. Given the number of schools they've shut down in the SUNY system already, I don't think we'll get there. But, so. All right. Any other thoughts around that? All right. Do I have a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to
Close. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I'll make a
Brian.
motion to close.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor? Yes. No ayes anymore, Brian. Only yeses and nos.
Hey.
Nick,